Hello, and welcome to episode 91 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the adjudicator, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
Man your own jackhammer.
Man your own jackhammer. On this week's episode, we ponder who will be playing the Batman, get ready for Terminator 3, and discuss other news and nuggets, all before diving into our flick of the week, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
We are drinking a New Belgium Belgian Reserve Sour Saison. It's a blended, barrel-aged farmhouse ale, bottle-conditioned, 7% alcohol by volume, 12 fluid ounces.
Jesus. Dude's got the deets.
Oh, I do. And it's deftly crafted over 15 months. This intriguing blend of farmhouse ale and barrel-aged golden sour ale delivers esters of sweet honeydew melon, perfectly balanced with wild sour complexity.
All right. Jesus. Serve 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sorry, man, we were off last week. I fucked up and I didn't have a Spin Shoot Sports Show this week, so I'm raring to go.
It's all good.
I'm fucking excited. We saw Coey and Cambria this week. I'm
we
jacked
had a good
up.
week. Yeah, that's why you're man in that jackhammer.
That's exactly right.
I said man your own and then realized that your own wasn't the next line and just had to say it again.
You're thinking
I was going to say man
stations.
your own battle station and I was like, that's not it.
No, I appreciate you putting in the effort, though. I'm glad you had so much.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had as much fun because
I did.
It always felt like you've been
really
on the
enjoyed
fringe
myself.
of it.
I have been. They play really well.
Yeah, they do.
They're very talented.
They sure are.
I'm all about those vocals.
Yep.
That vocal machine is pretty fantastic. Now, one of the things, completely off track, which is fine, that's what we do here. One of the things that you appreciated about the show was that they're just kind of down to business, right?
Yep.
It's just music on music on music. I was thinking about it a little bit more after the fact, and while I agree, like, yeah, you're going to get your money's worth if you're there just for the music. I do miss a little bit of that intimacy of the artist, like speaking with the crowd and like really getting into it. And he said nothing. Mm-hmm. But the other guy was trying, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, they've done it more in the past, and it's whatever headspace they're in. I think maybe it's different with this one because it's the second time they've toured for this album. They toured last year with it, so they probably felt like they didn't have anything new to add about it. Would be my guess. But even last year when I saw them, they talked a little bit more, but not much. I think it's just him and his personality, and I think he's just gotten to the point where he knows that he's just most comfortable going up there and playing. Some of the other guys are the ones who have like the bigger personalities. Because like if you see them do like a group interview, he doesn't talk too much unless questions are.
He seems like a quiet
unless
guy.
questions directed at him. Like he's happy to answer. Like he loves talking about his stuff. But I think I'm guessing after all this time that since he drives so much of the creativity thing, he probably feels like because he writes all of it.
Right.
He writes the concept, he writes the comics, he writes the songs, everything. I think he probably feels like he can be like domineering, like he's like his presence looms so large above the rest of them.
Yeah, like he's heard, so he takes a little bit of a backseat.
Yeah, he sees the stage.
That's fair. I will also say, in my mind, since he didn't really say two words or a word, I don't know that he said anything. But in my mind, I'm just gonna imagine that his standard speaking voice is the same as his singing voice, and that just makes it all okay.
Did you see that video I sent you today of them?
I did not.
Playing one of they did the gutter.
I didn't watch it yet. I saw the video that you sent.
They did the gutter in the car with like acoustic. So like you saw like he said a couple of things in there. Like you see just a teeny little peek at like his own personality. Like because like he does get up and like get excited about stuff, but it's like
sure.
I mean, like, that's just his conduit is just to fucking belt it out during those songs and, like, jump around on stage a little bit and fucking rock out on that double guitar.
I'll be checking that out probably after this. It's very different from the concert that I'll be going to see on Saturday night, which is, like, very much talking to the crowd. Probably loses a song in the amount of time he talks to the crowd, but it's always good. It feels like you're friends. It's nice. I'm excited.
I just want them to be comfortable with it, because when they ramble and it seems like they're doing it just to fill space, it's like, no, you're losing me.
Oh, yeah, no,
like,
that's not good.
Play another song, but like if you got a thing to say and like it's going to be funny or cool or interesting, then go to town, man.
I saw Kings of Leon at I think at the time, I think it was Susquehanna Bank Center. I don't know if that's still what it's called. It was in Camden.
Okay.
And it's an amphitheater style. We were on the lawn. And, man, zero personality. And I've heard that this might be off compared to other shows, and maybe it was just an off show. But didn't say 2 words to the crowd, stood completely still the entire time, and just played his guitar and sang. And everybody on stage looked like they were asleep.
Jeez.
And it was kind of boring.
Well, the one thing I'll say is I always get pretty lucky in seeing them. So they're from New York. They're from
Sure.
where they're originating is 40 minutes from where I live. So when they tour, they typically start in the area. So I always get them at the beginning of their tours when they're really fresh. You know what I mean?
High energy.
Yeah. So they're not worn down by we've just played 30 shows in the last 40 days. So.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So, shall we try this beer?
Absolutely.
You gave it its due diligence.
Oh, I did.
You read the story.
I was ready.
Cheers. Ooh. Oh, yes. That's going to be a thumb up for me, sir.
Oh, yeah. This is good. It better be, because this shit was fucking expensive, but... oh, no, this is good. I could tell as soon as I opened it, too. I get that blast of, the fruity, sour. I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like... And you know, I wouldn't have necessarily noticed it from the smell, but now once I read it and I tasted it, I can retroactively go back and be like, yeah, I totally caught that on the nose. The mixture of, the golden ale being in there, that's cool. I didn't realize this was blended until I was reading it while I was waiting on you earlier, fixing your fucking broken camera.
Oh, my God. That was a disaster.
But, yeah, no, this is really fucking good beer.
Against all odds, the night's turning around. This is great.
Yeah, man, we had good beer, good movie, good Cohen Cambria concert, which I put a video of up on the Spin Tune Twitter account.
Nice.
And I might put a few more videos up, too, when I think about it this week, if anyone wants to check those out.
Is it a video of the guy that was just crushing it next to us the whole time?
I don't think that's the one I put on there, but I sent that one to Alex, and he's like, by the way, great job catching that crazy dude dancing. I was like, I didn't even catch his top 5 best moves. But he was the real MVP of that show.
He was having the most fun. And I don't mean at that show. I just mean in general. I think he has the most fun.
Oh yeah,
as a human
being. His energy from start to finish was unparalleled. He was the MVP.
He was a real live Jack Black.
Second place was Macho Man Randy Savage lookalike.
That was pretty ridiculous.
Third place was
Silver Shades.
Yeah.
Did he have a tank top? He had the hair.
Yeah, he had a pink tank top.
Yeah. It was. And
the pants.
Interesting.
The pants too.
Oh, the pants. Yes.
That was what really sold me on
weird.
the Macho Man thing, because I was like, is that guy... And then I saw the pants. I was like, he's doing a Macho Man Randy Savage thing.
It was very bizarre.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was quite the crowd.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, though.
Third place is me.
Summer stage?
Third place is MVP is me not getting punched in the face, despite the fact that the mosh pit opened directly in front of me and I was pinned up against the wall.
It was like you like were.
I was the wall.
It opened up at you.
Mm-hmm. I was the wall.
As soon as it happened, Dominic and I both went no, and we just walked away.
Well, you guys had space. I had people who were behind me who realized what was going on and forced me to not.
He'll
escape.
save us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're large. I will hide behind you. And I was like, fuck you very much.
You big tree. Oh man, this beer is delightful.
I know, right?
I'm a fan.
It's drier than most sours.
It is,
and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's really nice
because it has those esters that they were talking about that you expect from a farmhouse and from like a golden ale, where it can just look at that residual sweetness that like sits on your tongue, but it's not sickly at all. It's crisp at the finish.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I'm
a big fan.
This a lot. This also like. It's picture perfect. I'll send you the picture later, and I will use it for the post. But
make sure you use it. I like that for those that we've been doing lately.
It's not going to be the animated photo that it takes, because the animated photo is actually amazing, and you just see all of the bubbles dancing to the top.
Oh, nice.
It's picture perfect. It's oh my god, this is good job, Al. I appreciate you.
I like New Belgium. They do good beer,
we have to go back to reading our bubbles, kind of like you read tea leaves.
Yeah.
I got a little Idaho action going on in mine.
Nothing
up
on the side. of the glass. It looks a little bit like a whale.
A whale diving out of the water.
Yeah, like a whale, breaching the water.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it.
I'm a fan of that.
Shall we start diving into some news and nuggets?
Yes, let's not dilly-dally, Mr. Wick.
We've got things to talk about. The first thing that I would like to talk about is the next Batman has been announced.
Yes.
How do you feel about Robert Pattinson?
I'm totally good with it. You and me were talking about it a little bit the other day when we were hanging out.
A touch. Yeah, I try not to dive too much into it. Figured we'd save it for the show.
Yeah, so I can understand why a lot of the masses might be pretty hesitant about this pick, because...
I actually was going to ask, I haven't noticed, are people annoyed by this?
Oh, a lot of people were.
Okay, so
not everyone, but...
Generally the internet.
Yeah.
So not really.
No, but I think, at least in this case, I can understand why. Because for a lot of people, the last thing they saw him in was the Twilight movies.
That's
and
fair.
You know what? Fair. Fair is fair. He wasn't good in them, but it's not a him problem. It's a horrendous script problem. Because
have you watched those movies?
I've seen the first one. Because it came out at a time when my sister was a really big fan, and when she was younger, she used to be sick a lot. She was home from school one day and she was bad, she had been in the hospital, so she wanted to I was home that day. It was in college. I had the day off, so I sat down and watched it with her because that's what she wanted to watch.
Okay. I can't pass judgment on them. I refuse to pass judgment on the movies because I haven't seen them.
No, I've seen the first one. I saw the first 10 minutes of the second one, but other than that, I haven't seen anything.
Fair enough.
But the first one is bad. It's very bad. It's just so cliched in so many ways. It's playing up the angsty teenage romance thing to a level that is you can taste it.
Okay.
And it's sour and bad. Not sour and good like this beer, sour and bad.
Right.
I wanted to brush my teeth.
Why does that phrasing make it sound so bad?
Yeah, I don't know.
The fact, the concept of it lingering in your teeth is disturbing to some degree.
Not only is it disturbing, but the problem with why it's so disturbing is because it's 100% accurate. What I'm telling you are not opinions; these are facts. But so the thing is, and what I was alluding to with you, we both saw a good time. We did it for this show. It was a movie with Robert Pattinson. It was the Safdie brothers.
We too make mistakes.
Some people raved about it, loved it, and I've read those reviews.
And some people are wrong.
I've seen the movie, and I read those reviews, and I still can't really reconcile those two things.
Absolutely not. No.
But his performance in the movie was good, which we said.
And my hatred for the movie makes me not want to give you that, but you are correct.
Yes.
I can't argue it.
Yes. He did a good job in it. And on a much better note, for me personally, and I mentioned the movie to you, The Lost City of Zed, which was based on a true story that happened in the early 1900s. It was about British explorers looking for this lost city of gold in South America. Really good movie. It was very low-key. I was just intrigued by it because I'd never heard of this real-life expedition or series of expeditions. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I might as well watch a movie about it. I was watching the movie. Charlie Hunnam plays the main character. I think it's Sir Percy something. I don't remember his name. And he's really good in it, too. I honestly hadn't really seen him in much other than little snippets of... what the hell was that biker show called that I can't...
Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy, that he was the lead in.
Look at me coming out with a name.
Right? Yeah, I just totally blanked. So Robert Pattinson plays the guy who becomes kind of his right-hand man on these expeditions. But when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He's got glasses, he's got a full beard, very quiet, understated, and I'm like, this guy is this role is interesting. So I looked it up while I'm in the movie theater. There was literally one other person in the movie.
Savage.
There was literally one other person in the theater when I was watching, so it's okay.
You've ruined it for that
I
one
didn't.
guy. It's not okay.
I didn't.
No, it's not okay.
He was sitting ahead of me, so he couldn't.
I don't care. Doesn't matter. You're the worst.
And I was like, holy shit, that's Robert Pattinson? I never would have guessed. And he fucking crushed that role. And he's been in a lot of other things over the last several years. things that I should have probably had pulled up before I'm now stalling for time while I can look it up. In case you couldn't tell that's what I was doing. He's been in a lot of different movies over the last 10 years or 8 years or however long since the Twilight movies have been done. Working with like a lot of like interesting or like artistic like directors. Like he was in The Lighthouse, which is getting some critical acclaim. That came out this year as well. It's with him and Willem Dafoe. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been in a number of things. I know, and I have no problem with him from what I've seen, and I do think it's interesting that he's going to be in the next Christopher Nolan movie.
Yes, which I was just talking about with some people tonight because I didn't realize we had talked about it a few weeks back when they announced it, and did you know they now titled it?
Oh, did they title it?
Yes, I didn't realize that. It's called Tenet.
What did we get?
Tenet.
Okay. All right.
And they gave the briefest, worst synopsis ever. And like the first line of it is like,
the plot is currently unknown. The project is described as an action epic revolving around the world of international espionage. It doesn't matter. Let's go.
I still think it's wild that the release date is 13 months from now, and we still know fucking nothing about it.
It's just Christopher Nolan's peeps. And it's going to be great. Yeah. But I do think, I am curious, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that's part of the reason that he's playing Batman.
It seems like he's finally, like, snapped his fingers, and it's like, okay, I've done my art period of movies for, like, many years now. I had banked a ton of fucking money through the Twilight movies. Now I can go back to do big things if I want to again. Like, and I can mix and match whatever I'm going to do. So, like, that's cool. I'm looking forward to the Christopher Nolan one. I'm looking forward to this.
To know, like, what if he had a helping hand in this. But don't really care. I think it would be kind of cool if he's giving him an endorsement. He's having him in his film. It made the last successful Batman movie. You know, let him. Let's go with this guy's good ideas.
So I'm totally fine with this casting. Especially everything you hear is that this Matt Reeves version is going to be a younger, more low-key, less superhero, more detective-y type of Batman. Yep. It could totally work.
It's just like, do you look at him? Does he have the Batman jawline? He does. Okay, we're there. We're halfway there.
Listen, people were up in arms when Christian Bale was cast, and look how that went.
That's true. People are up in arms generally about everything.
Well, but also, I mean, at the time, like, Christian Bale was a nobody, kind of. Like, I guess The Machinist came out while they were shooting the Batman Begins, right?
There were some frightening pictures from that movie.
And that got him some acclaim. And because that was the whole story, right? Is that he had lost a ton of weight for that movie and then gained a bunch of weight to put muscle on for Batman Begins, right? Mm-hmm. Although he still didn't really look like he put on enough muscle until the next one.
Yeah.
But up until then, like, he was known for, like, Newsies.
Yeah.
and voicing Thomas in Pocahontas, which at that point no one actually fucking knew that was him.
Oh my god, that's hysterical. I didn't know that. That's amazing. Regardless, this lights the spark a little bit. I'm excited to see where this goes for the Batman. I love the title of the movie.
The Batman?
The Batman. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it could easily be terrible.
Oh, sure.
But maybe it'll be good.
But it seems like people like Matt Reeves. Honestly, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but in the conversation around it, it seems like people like things that he's done.
Yeah. Let's move on from the Batman.
Okay.
To Terminator 3.
Terminator 3 again?
Again, yes.
You know, I had this as a note from our last episode, which we didn't get to because we just did Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. The two new trailers, I'll just lump them in together and we can take them in whatever order you want.
Sure.
The Rambo Last Blood trailer and...
Oh my god, I did not see that.
You didn't even know that was a thing? Because I didn't get around to mentioning it on the show because you told me, no, we're just doing Game of Thrones.
Christ. It's called Rambo Last Blood. I mean, you know what? Good for you. Good for you.
As long as it's the last.
Rambo.
Well, you know what they had.
Last Blood. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it live.
We're gonna do it live again.
We're doing it right now.
Well, get ready for some more Old Town Road.
Excellent. Balboa Productions.
I've lived in a world of death.
Oh my god.
I can't take it seriously.
These are just stock images from Logan, right? Oh god. This is...
All these years I've kept my secrets. But the time has come to face my past.
Why? You're fine. There's nobody around you.
If it comes looking for me,
There's people.
they will welcome
It seems like he's looking for them. They drew blood first. He will draw last. He just shot a bow and arrow and a car exploded.
I hope that's bad editing, like lie editing.
I hope it's not. I hope that's what we're getting into.
There's nothing.
Oh my.
They can never stop it.
Oh, so he's all full of bullet holes.
Yeah, or some sort of holes.
Got it. So he'll die, right? Hopefully. I mean, that's mean, but to put it to bed.
I mean, it is Last Blood.
It is Last
Although, to be fair,
Uh,
the first two movies was First Blood and then First Blood Part 2, so why can't there be a Last Blood Part 2?
Oh my god, there's totally gonna be a Last Blood Part 2. This is... Yeah, that doesn't look good.
No.
We'll see it. We'll see it. I'm making that happen.
Okay, before we get into Dark Fate, because I just want to get past the Rambo thing as quickly as possible, I just want to make sure that you've been tainted with the same Last Blood
I
that
appreciate
I
it.
have.
I appreciate it. I was unaware of that entirely.
Before we get into Dark Fate, I just
Yeah.
want to mention that when I saw it, it was like thumbnailed in a tweet.
Okay.
And it was a picture of Linda Hamilton walking or running down a street with a gun. And
Naturally.
it said trailer Dark Fate, but it didn't say Dark Fate. It was clipped, so it said Dark Fat.
Yes. Yes. Terminator Dark Meat.
No, Dark Fat.
Oh my god.
So let's talk about that trailer.
Why was it clipped?
I
Okay, yeah.
don't know.
Let's talk about the trailer for a couple reasons. One, I appreciate going back on the mistakes and trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. You want to do Terminator 3 again? Great. You need to call that Terminator 3 though, because other people are going to be confused.
No, just call it Terminator 3 again.
Unless they do something within the movie to retcon the other movies and actually reference what's happening, then they need to be very clear about what this is. Otherwise, it's just confusing.
Well, they've been like shouting it from the mountaintops that
That's
this is a sequel
great.
to 2. This is a sequel to 2. Everything else doesn't matter anymore. Blank slate, guys.
That's great. That's us, though. We get that. We're not the average moviegoer.
Have there been how many Terminator movies have there been? Because I was hoping that again they could do,
Roughly 17.
well, I was hoping it was 8 because they could do Dark Fate with an 8 again and make up for Fate of the Furious dropping that ball.
Okay, hang on. We got Terminator, Terminator 2, Terminator 2 Extended Cut, Terminator 2 Director's Cut,
Okay.
Terminator 2 Liquid Metal Edition,
Oh my
Terminator 2. Yeah, I'm serious. This is another one of this is one of the movies.
We're gonna get
along
up to
with Batman.
15 this way.
I own a lot of Terminator 2.
You love that movie.
I do love that movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. It's one of the best movies. And then the rest of them came. And the third one, I mean, sure, I was young and I enjoyed the action, and now going back and rewatching it, it's no bueno. But not great. Salvation, I believe, is what followed that.
No,
and
Terminator 3.
Yeah, then Salvation.
Yeah.
Terminator 3. Salvation was Christian Bale and Sam Worthington,
Yes.
right? That one I remember enjoying. I think that was actually a decent movie.
It was okay.
Decent. Yeah, that's not, I'm like.
It was good. It was good on its own. It wasn't great as part of the Terminator series.
Oh, yes, perfect. Then there was the one that followed that, Genesis.
Yes, the one with Daenerys.
Yeah, and the guy from Planet of the Apes.
Yes, he played John Connor. But
yeah.
Jai Courtney was the two leads were was Jai Courtney and Emilia Clarke.
Forgot about that. Yeah, because there was always got to be two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was not good.
No. Although I did kind of dig that Jai Courtney was technically the damsel in distress most of the movie.
That was kind of fun. Yeah, it was. That movie was silly. That being said, 3, Salvation, Genesis, discard them, make a new movie, bring Linda Hamilton back. Awesome, very cool concept.
I'm on board with the concept.
Trailer's not great, bad trailer.
Yeah,
should have done better. But I'm excited to see a true sequel to Terminator 2.
Yes,
that sounds exciting to me. That being said, I don't understand why they're not naming it Terminator 3, unless, like I said, unless they're going to do some sort of retcon within the movie.
Well, they are, but the thing is, I don't think they can name it Terminator 3 because there already exists a Terminator 3.
There's multiple movies of the same name. Batman.
But that's the only Batman.
No.
What else is named Batman?
The one from the 60s?
I always forget that there's a movie.
Oh, no, never mind. That's Batman the movie.
Yeah.
Shit.
But
You're right.
But doubly so, I always forget it's a movie. I just remember it as the TV show.
Oh, hang on, though. But Terminator 3, again, that would have worked. We could have done that. I wasn't kidding originally when I said that, because you do need to explain to people what's happening here.
The thing is, though, when they do it, it has to have a voiceover. No matter where you're reading it or seeing it, it has to have a voiceover. And it has to be the voiceover from Tropic Thunder, the fake trailers at the beginning, when they're doing the was it Scorcher? Was that what it was? The movies that Ben Stiller was in?
Yes.
And it's Scorcher, it was like Scorcher 6, the Ice Age. You coming to save the world again.
It should be Terminator 3 again, and then they cut right back into the movie, but it's Linda Hamilton from the second one in her dream sequences, and she's just screaming as she's bursting into flames. I want it to be good because I love Terminator 2 so much.
Yes.
I do need to temper expectations.
You know what always confused me about Terminator 3? And that one, I believe, is that subtitled Rise of the Machines?
Hey, okay, so you can call it Terminator 3. Yes, it is called Rise of the Machines.
The thing that always confused me about that one is I remember watching it when it came out. And I was very familiar with the first two.
Yeah.
It confused me because it felt like it was a soft reboot, even though it was a direct sequel.
I didn't feel that way.
I don't know. The way they did it, it was like... It felt like it was meant more for people who had never seen Terminator before than for people who were fans of the first two. Like, the way they were reframing and And it's been a long time since I've seen it, because it's a bad movie. But the way... I feel like I remember the way the narration went, and they've always done a little bit of narration to give you the backstory or whatever, but, like...
Sure.
It felt so tailored to people who had never seen a Terminator before.
Well, how many years had passed? It had to be...
It was 10 years.
10 years, yeah. That's why.
I guess.
They're trying to revive it.
It was just... I just remember being confused. I'm like... Because I feel like even some of the stuff didn't even necessarily 100% agree with what happened in 2. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it was referencing some director's cut or liquid metal cut or whatever that you just mentioned before.
Question. So, you said they are going to retcon things within the movie.
That they have said that this is eliminating everything.
I know.
The first two.
They are saying that, but are they going to put that on display somehow? Otherwise, that's what I'm saying. That's why the title is confusing.
It won't be a retcon. It's just wiping the clean. Those things just don't exist anymore. This
Are they going to open up the movie and be like, the last 3 Terminator movies didn't happen? What about the Cersei Chronicles? Did those happen?
I don't know if those were ever technically canon in any way, shape, or form.
I'm okay with disregarding the rest of them. I need to know what to expect going in.
I'm telling you what to expect. Those don't exist anymore. End of story.
Okay. I can accept that.
Okay.
But
it sounds like
another person that isn't this close to this and maybe saw one of the 3 sequels that came after 2 is going to be like, another one? Like, they're just going to say, that's what they're going to say.
How about this? And I will pitch it directly to James Cameron.
Terminator 3, another one.
I have his direct line, and I will get on the phone with him as soon as we're done. James Cameron, please give us an opening title card scroll a la Star Wars that says Terminator, Dark Fat, in a time of near future approaching post-apocalyptic situations. All of those apocalyptically bad movies that came place after Terminator 2, Judgment Day, the Liquid Metal edition, don't exist. Scrub them from your brain. ... Pan down over a spaceship to a planet. Zoom in. Terminator Dark Fat.
Okay. I'm down with that. We'll make that happen.
Anything that'll get you to be okay with the fact that or be okay on behalf of the people who may not.
That's the thing. Yeah, for me it's great because I have the context. I'm concerned about.
You have too much context.
I do have too much context. I had shared with you. I came across my Arnold Schwarzenegger notebook when I was cleaning out my parents' house. I did share with you some excerpts, did I not?
I think you sent me some pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was basically the Arnold Schwarzenegger wiki page before Wikipedia was a thing.
I don't even remember if you sent them to me. I think you just told me about them.
I just read them. Did I read them to you?
I think maybe. I don't know. I remember that it was a thing, but I can't remember any of the content.
It became very clear to me that it was not my handwriting, which means that I asked my mom as a child to write these things for me.
Wait, seriously?
So that I could read. Oh, yeah, it's in her handwriting.
Tremendous.
Yeah, it's my little notebook.
Is your mom's handwriting the exact same as my mom's handwriting?
All uppercase letters.
No, I guess not.
Some of them are shorter and makes them lowercase.
I don't know why I felt like they have the exact same handwriting, but maybe I was wrong.
Her handwriting never ceases to amaze me. Anyway, Dark Fat, we're in. That's probably going to be that's probably the next movie. Wait, when does that come out?
I have no idea.
Oh, I was going to say it's not actually the case. Spider-Man will be the case. After Spider-Man, that'll probably be the next movie with our orchestrated introduction. We're going to sing that song 100%. We're going to sing the Terminator theme song.
Can we just do the... I was going to say, can we just do the T2 metal?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You can do that. You'll do that part, and I'll do the falsetto.
I didn't know that there was a falsetto that was part of it.
Wah, wah, wah. All right.
Instead, our intro music from now on is just going to be you doing all the falsetto parts from different Coheed and Cambria songs.
Okay. I'll do that.
If you have an effective falsetto, you can replace Michael Todd and his grenade-related antics and do the falsetto from Coheed and Cambria songs.
Sign me up.
Can we go to a different trailer conversation?
Thank you. Absolutely.
Can we talk about the Death Stranding trailer?
Yeah, we can.
Because
we should.
What in the holy fucking shit was that?
Yeah.
That was batshit crazy. It's 10 minutes long. The fuck? Yeah. How is that a trailer? It's a mini movie. Yeah. I watched an episode of Death Stranding.
Tighten it. Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. That trailer is a... comedian Daniel Tosh did a skit a long time ago where he talked about how you try to explain a dream to someone and you just sound like an idiot, right?
Oh my god, it's so accurate to this trailer.
Right? Yeah. He's like, and then I'm walking through the sea of marshmallows and the man made of...
I remember that one, yes.
Yeah. That's what this trailer... the trailer ended. I watched it by myself. The trailer ended, and I was just like,
Well, I'm glad you didn't subject Kim to it.
But I feel like I needed a buddy, you know? Like, I needed someone to talk to. And then afterwards, I just kind of reflected on it for 20 minutes.
Just sat in a dark room just thinking about it?
I just didn't... It was in that moment, I was like, yeah, I'm going to PlayStation again. Like, I need to experience this game
First of all, let's just set the stage for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Okay,
guys,
good luck.
Guys, if you've heard of Guillermo del Toro before, this is the most Guillermo del Toro the content of a thing could be in the 21st century.
In that CG Guillermo del Toro is in it.
Well, not only that, but just the whole fucking spider webs of Black Death and also babies. And what?
It's really Kojima.
No, but the thing is, it's Kojima unleashing Del Toro.
It's Kojima Death Stranding. Kojima unleashed Del Toro.
Yes.
There's 2 colons in that.
No, because it has the fucked up, ridiculous fever dream horror aspect of the Del Toro thing, including weird usage of babies. That guy had a baby in a tube he was using it as a lantern, I guess, of some sort.
No, it's a bridge. He's a connection to this up to the other side.
It's both.
It's fair.
And it's the Kojima Metal Gear Solid, polished sensibilities of 2019. And for those of you who don't know who Hideo Kojima is, he's the video game. He's done the Metal Gear Solid games, and I'm guessing a whole bunch of other ones. And
he is a genius.
Yeah, no, an evil genius. Both of them are.
Yeah.
And first of all, I appreciate if you're gonna do a creepy trailer about a creepy game and you need creepy music, Apocalyptica is a good place to start. Why were there just 90-second sections with none of the song, and then 3-minute sections with the song back on again?
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get that Norman Reedus vocals.
Sure, but some of the Norman Reedus vocals were over the Apocalyptica song.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then also...
Not my trailer.
It felt like it felt like someone was supposed to be splicing the song over the trailer. And... was eating a sandwich and leaned against his computer console, and he turned the song off for 90 seconds, and then was like, oh shit, fuck, and he clicked it and turned it back on again, but didn't backfill the part that was missing.
I'm gonna tell you right now that every piece of that was intentional.
I know it was.
Going back after you play the game, and I imagine it'll mean something.
I know, and he's like a Galaxy Brain 4D chess guy, and the fact that they released it,
crazy.
The date they released the trailer was the same date that Albert Einstein made some revelation, and that the equation that was part of it from Einstein was on some dog tag that was being carried by the Norman Reedus character or something like that. I get it.
It's all crazy.
It's all
crazy nonsense.
It's so meta that it makes Deadpool look like a babbling idiot. I get it.
Yeah.
But
what the fuck?
Let
me paint a picture for you. Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain comes out, and I'm very excited for it.
Oh, I heard about that whole rabbit hole today. What the fuck?
The Metal Gear Solid games, and originally what came out before was almost like a $40 game. It was called Ground Zeroes. It was like an introduction. Shit goes wrong, time passes, leaves you in the beginning of this game, which was actually a really cool concept. I liked that. It was like a single large mission game was Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that when you...
It was awesome. It was really cool concept. And then the game starts off. Now here's what's fun. Brian of Spin Tune fame. Brian
who's batshit crazy. Now, speaking of batshit crazy things, batshit crazy manifesto on civil behavior in New York City was out on the Spin Tune today or yesterday when you're listening.
Excellent.
To it,
Do yourself a favor.
Read that.
So Brian and I decided we were really excited for this game. We decided we're going to play this game on chat. So we're it's single player. We're going to play the story mode, but we're going to play it with our headsets on, communicating with each other, trying not to spoil anything, but kind of be in sync, get through this together because we weren't doing it. So we're playing the game. The intro to Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain is a good hour of not what the game is.
That's a long intro mission.
You wake up in a hospital. You're trying to escape. You create a character face, which then doesn't really mean it. That's a whole multiplayer thing that didn't mean anything. It was weird. Anyway, I can't even explain to you. It was a long time ago. Can't even explain to you what happened. The reason this is seared into my memory is you try to escape the hospital. Things are going wrong. There's people coming in. They're trying to kill other people. They're trying to kill you, I imagine. And you're creeping through. No, again, this is an hour long. There's cinematic cuts within it and all this. By the end of it, you're in a Jeep. You're flying down the street. I believe I have this right, unless it was in the building. It might have been in the building, but regardless, doesn't matter. The crazy thing is, a giant fire whale comes out of nowhere. And I never finished the game. I'm going to go back and finish it, but I don't know that it matters or that I will ever get an answer to what the fire whale was. But it just like kind of fire whale jumps up out of, I believe, the ground and just kind of slams down. Just go watch it. It's worth a watch. And then just understand that is not what the game is. And it's all very confusing. And then I was like, when do I get to play the game that I bought? And then after that, it finally started to get into it. And it ends up being an incredible game. It's so much fun. But I will never forget that.
I played a very little bit of Metal Gear Solid 2. And I remember thinking, because at the time I didn't own a PS2, I was playing it. I think I was playing it on Thanksgiving one year. Or no, Super Bowl. Nice. Super Bowl when I was a kid. But it was like a few hours before the game started, and someone brought their PS2 with the game. It was when the game was like new, or it was like, if not brand new, like it had been out for like a couple of months. Okay. And I was like, this is the most ridiculously over the top complex thing I've ever seen before. I was like 11 or whatever it was when it came out. This is cool as shit. I'm not equipped to play this game.
Nope. No, 100% not equipped.
This game is insane. I kind of want to try it. I don't have a PlayStation. By the time,
we'll play it together.
I'll find a way to get my way towards. I feel like it's probably gonna be a long game. But the one like overarching thing that I think is really cool is the effort that they've made, and some games now have made a pretty good effort now to get like really good casts into the game of like voice actors.
Well, you got your boy Mads in there.
When they had big Mads Mikkelsen fan, we're both Norman Reedus fans. Guillermo del Toro, Leia Sado, Margaret Qualley, who I had no idea who that was until the past couple of weeks because I started watching The Leftovers. I think there was one other person whose name I recognize. It just seems like a cool project. It seems fucking absurd.
The game's going to be wild. And here's what we should do. And what I'll try to I'll coordinate with Brian, coordinate with you. Maybe we will live stream the game.
Okay. We do have a Twitch. We've only used one time.
Yeah. Brian, actually, there's somewhere in the archives of the internet, there is Brian and I housing White Castle and beer, playing through, oh crap, what was the name of the game? It was like a horror game. It was awesome. It was a horror game starring Rami Malek on PS4. Crap, I can't think of it. But anyway, it's on YouTube somewhere.
Was it Mr. Robot the game?
No, it was not. But there's a
was it not?
There's a point where Brian kind of starts to drift off, and something startles me. It's like a squirrel. It's not even anything serious, and I shrieked like loud, and it's hours. Chris joins the stream at one point. It's just a whole thing. Like I'm pretty sure there were watches too, and I was like, who watched this? It was ridiculous. But if we do this for Death Stranding, we'll break it into chunks.
Oh yeah,
because there's no way we're going to do this in one night. Or if we do it in one night, we'll cut it down into multiple episodes. But I think it'll be worth doing. I think the three of us trying to understand what's happening will be gold. It'll be gold, Jerry.
Gold, Jerry. Gold.
I've got a nugget.
Okay, go for it.
My nugget. There was a night of whiskey, and
yes, me and Brian are very familiar with your night of whiskey.
And I sent you the menu of what I drank because I did drink a menu.
that doesn't sound like it tastes very good.
And I did not know this little fact. How many minutes is the MCU?
Isn't it? Like, it's like 46 hours or something, isn't it?
It is just shy of 3,000
minutes.
Fuck you guys. Really? And they're talking. There's like hints at like maybe that part of like the joke a little bit with the "Love You 3000." But if so, just well done. Just keep leaving things for us to find. Days, months, years later. That's what I want out of this.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm still riding a slight high from seeing Endgame.
I'm confused about, did I black out? How did that tie into the night of whiskey?
That's why I was told about it.
What?
That's when I was told about it, and it's the only thing I retained.
Oh, okay. You really scared me from my own insanity part. I'm like, did I black out and I miss 5 minutes of conversation? Because the last thing I feel like we were talking about, I looked up at the screen real quick because someone scored a goal in the Stanley Cup final, and now we're talking about Endgame. What happened?
And I'm glad you're confused, because that was the setup, and here's the reason. I have notes that I took from that night, and I do need to go back and check what they mean. There's people's names, and I don't know who they are, and I imagine I didn't spell them right because Googling them yielded no results.
Do you remember the conversation that you had with me and Brian about you being on the train wasted after your night of whiskey?
That I remember. I was focusing on explaining it to you so that I could stay A, awake, and B, from throwing up.
Fair enough. Yeah, it sounded like fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Yeah, it was all of the whiskey. It was it was a number of whiskey, scotch, and bourbon drinks, and a whiskey flight. Like, it's too much. It was kind of like when we went to the whiskey tasting.
Oh, that was a lot of whiskey.
But I had a really good short rib sandwich, though. It was it was delightful. I could go for that right now. Give me those are my news and nuggets. Give me the rest of yours.
Okay, I have a nugget that's kind of a news, and then a news that was news like 2 weeks ago.
I thought you were going to say a news that's kind of a nugget.
Let's go with the bigger one, the meteor one. So did you see
the dark fat?
Yeah, the dark fat. Did you see the news several weeks ago that was like brand new at the time that we were recording our last episode, but you silenced
Shut you down.
me. Yes, I didn't get to it. That Laeta Kalogridis is going to be writing a Knights of the Old Republic movie.
You're going to have to give me more on that name.
You're going to make me say it again. Laeta Kalogridis. She is a writer.
Okay.
I mean, it's a name that if you see it, you're like, oh, I'll never forget that name again because it's a name.
You're not really helping me much. What is the name attached to?
What? I said she is writing a Knights of the Old Republic movie.
Yeah, but you said the name as if I would have known it.
Oh. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you've seen the name, you would recognize it. She's done a bunch of things that I will now bring up. Again, I should have had this ready.
Okay.
She wrote or co-wrote Shutter Island.
Oh.
She wrote Alexander.
Oh.
She unfortunately wrote Terminator Genesis.
Oh.
She wrote Alita Battle Angel.
Oh.
But the one that
you see this roller coaster around together.
Well, so the thing is, when I saw the name, I was like, I know this name, but why do I know this name? Because those things didn't come to mind. What came to mind and what got me excited about this pairing is she created and wrote the first season, or co-wrote whatever, the first season of Altered Carbon on Netflix.
Okay, I know you're a fan of that.
I was. So, sign me up for a Star Wars movie with those sensibilities.
Yeah, I know. You said Knights of the Old... You, to be clear, I was sold on the Old Republic.
Yeah. So, pairing that sort of situation, golden age of Star Wars, Republic times, Jedis, and Sith, and all that fun stuff, with the sensibilities of the person who brought to life from the page Altered Carbon. The first season of that show was nearly as batshit crazy as the Death Stranding trailer.
Ooh.
And
I'm listening.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It's fucking weird.
All right.
Weird as shit, and I'll be honest, not all of it really made sense.
It's fine.
But I was okay with it because it was entertaining as fuck.
Wow. I'm going to have to... I will have to... That's a ringing endorsement there, sir. I will have to give that a watch.
It is a show
more so
that
because I'm very interested in Old Republic stuff. So.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those shows that maybe is more fun than good, but it was a lot of fun.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
So yeah, I was excited by that. I don't know when that would approach being on a slate. It sounds like that is behind in priority to the Benioff and Weiss one and
Yeah.
the Rian Johnson one. But it sounds like she has been tapped to pen the script for the first of another trilogy. But after there was an initial reporting, it seems pretty solid reporting because it was BuzzFeed News, but they cited 3 sources on this story. So it sounds like it's maybe in the very, very like nascent planning stages of this. So it could be that it's somewhere down the road, or it's going to be the one that kind of fills in between, because as of right now, the Star Wars slate is for December of every other year. After this one, the next one will be in 2021, it sounds like. This one could possibly be made to be in the in-between times, or I don't know, because there hasn't been any further confirmation, there hasn't been any denial about this story, and everyone ran with the story. It could be that that she's doing, it could be part of one of those other 2 projects. I don't know. No one knows yet.
Let me ask you this. Does episode 9 bring the final title crawl?
It's possible.
Because I don't think they should do that. I think they should keep using that.
Well, the only reason I'll say it's entirely possible is because our only other 2 non-saga movies didn't have it.
Right, but they seem to be a little iffy, right, with some of the decisions after that. So maybe I love the we had context though.
Well, I think that they made it pretty obvious that they wanted there to be a clear delineation between the way that those were treated.
Well, don't call them episode X.
Well, what I think
bad example.
I'm not saying
definitely don't call it episode X. That would be 10. That would be very confusing for people.
What I could see, I'm not saying I have any sort of insider information. I've seen this listed or reported anywhere.
Longer time ago, in a galaxy just a bit further away. And it's just completely unrelated.
Actually, I don't remember. They didn't do that for the other 2, right? The blue text a long time ago in Galaxy Far, Far Away.
You know, I don't remember.
I don't think they did. What I was going to say is, could you get just a title card with a blurb? Sans the whole theatrics of the scroll with the classic Star Wars theme. Could you get a compromise where we're getting the spirit of that thing, but it is a distinctly different execution?
I think, that would be interesting. I would like that. I would like just something that sets the stage, because there's something novel about that. The way they did that, like it gives you like it's just so Star Wars. It is iconic of Star Wars to give you they basically giving you the first page of the book, and it's completely captivating. And then it's like, and here's the rest. And then there's some crazy thing that happens.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, when you're talking about Rogue One or Solo, we don't need that whole context, because we already have a pretty good idea of what's going on, right?
Exactly.
Because it's such a specific targeted thing, and it does exist between the lines of what we already have.
That's why I think they will give us something of the sort, because we will have no context going in.
And that would be what my intuition would say as well, is we get some sort of compromise of those things, right? Where we're not getting as we have the yellow text come up and scroll up. But could we get some sort of like blank screen, a little text wall that sets the stage? Maybe we get the new theme for the new trilogy playing over it or behind it or something like that. That's cool,
yeah.
Or even just dark, ominous tones, mood music, and that's a more generic title card thing you've seen in a lot of movies since Star Wars has existed, or even before that. Actually, technically, older movies have had that sort of thing too.
I'm excited to see where it goes. It'll be good.
But I just thought this was an interesting, mostly.
Absolutely.
Now, the one thing I'll say is the last time we had this sort of conversation, was when Lord and Miller were tapped to do Solo, and I'm still disappointed that didn't work out. Because I thought that those 2 were perfect for that sort of project. And I still think that you see some of those things existed still in the movie.
Sure.
I haven't actually...
they didn't reshoot the whole movie.
Yeah, but I still haven't rewatched that since it came out. I'm going to be watching it soon-ish when we get to... because that'll be the next one after Revenge of the Sith that I watched with my sister. So, the last time. I still think that could have worked. It just seems like they didn't have the skills and personality to be able to manage the actual execution of the project, not the movie itself. Sure. I think that given the requisite skill set, they would have been able to make a really cool movie because they are the perfect people to match up with that sort of like zany heist movie with like a roguish character with a personality, right? Like a young...
I love a good heist movie.
Yeah. So I think that could have worked really well if they could have managed the behind-the-scenes, day-to-day work. And that's really what got them fired, was that, it sounds like, was that they couldn't manage such a big production.
The giant machine.
Yeah. And
fair.
who knows? I mean, she's just writing this. They haven't done any sort of thing about directing. I don't think she would be directing it as well. It would probably be a director with it, and that's why I wonder if because there had been rumors for a while that Benioff and Weiss would be doing the Old Republic. I wonder if this isn't actually a separate trilogy, but rather
it's part of that. It's part of that.
She is going to be the lead writer, and the two of them managing the project, and it's the three of them.
I have a feeling that that's what's going to come out.
Because I could see how that could be a really cool process.
Yeah. All right. What's your what's your, you have one more? You said, right?
Yeah, I had one more. It was something you and I discussed briefly before I left the other day, but I want to talk about it again in a little bit more detail. Did you get to look into that show Good Omens that I mentioned the other day?
No, I haven't.
So that looks really cool. I think it just came out this past weekend on Amazon.
I do want to watch it. The sales pitch you gave me was wonderful.
Yeah, so I really want to get to this. I'm probably just going to wait until I'm done with The Leftovers, because I have like one more episode in the first season. There's only 2 more seasons after that, so I'll probably, it'll only take me another week and a half or so to get through that, and then I'll probably just tackle that. I think it's 5 or 6 episodes. It's a limited series. I don't think it's supposed to have any sort of backup. It's based on a book that was co-written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, who are really famous sci-fi writers of the last 50 years or whatever. Terry Pratchett's on the older side. At least I think he was the one who wrote what's it called, wasn't he? That was a really bad way to phrase that. What the hell was it? No, maybe I was wrong. I thought he was the one who wrote that show that the books for what became the show that was on MTV, and I guess I was wrong.
MTV?
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird time.
I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was weird. Me and Dominic watched it. It was on MTV, and then they shifted it over to Paramount.
When?
And it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I totally can't remember the name of the fucking thing. Oh, Shannara Chronicles, that's it.
Okay.
I can't think of who the fuck wrote the books. I thought it was Terry Pratchett, and I guess I was wrong. Anyway, it was a book co-written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and so it was a book about. Well, I'll see what they have on the synopsis here. A tale of the bungling of Armageddon features an angel, a demon, an 11-year-old Antichrist, and a doomsaying witch. So David Tennant plays the demon, Michael Sheen plays the angel, and the two of them, naturally set apart from each other. They're supposed to guide the apocalypse, the Armageddon, with the Antichrist, the whole thing with God and the devil has the Antichrist, and the Antichrist will become a human child, and then he'll bring about the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that the demon and the angel, this is what I'm getting from watching the full extended trailer, the demon and the angel kind of like the deal that they have on Earth.
Okay.
And so they seek to derail the Armageddon so that they can keep going about the things that they enjoy on Earth.
It sounds fun.
And it turns into this, it looks like it's going to turn into this kind of like madcap caper of oh no, we lost the Antichrist. Kind of a little bit of dogma in it, you know what I mean? Where they lost God. And so Frances McDormand plays God in this. And John Hamm plays the angel Gabriel. And I think Michael McKean might play a witch or a witch hunter, something like that. And there was someone else in this who was famous, who I'm losing now as I'm scrolling through the thing, and I can't remember who it is. And there's it's got the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and everything. I think the four horsemen of the apocalypse are Brian Cox is one of them. He plays Death. I think it's just the voice of him though.
Okay.
And there's a few other people. Death, war, pollution, famine. There's the whole thing. The trailer is again just fucking crazy.
I'm gonna have to watch it,
and it's just gonna be this like 5 or 6 episode run. It's on
that.
Amazon
That's
Prime,
what's appealing.
Yeah,
it's
gonna be short, quick, and like David Tennant, we fucking like everyone loves him. Like he's phenomenal, and I love Michael Sheen.
Yeah,
and I think you enjoyed him when we watched Passengers, right?
Yes,
he was the android guy.
Yep. He was great.
So yeah, I'm super excited to watch this probably in another week or two.
Nice. Yeah, maybe we could actually, we might be able to, since it's only a 6-episode thing, we could probably pull off an episode on that as well, if we wanted to do that.
Well, that's what I figured, or we could kind of choose a week where maybe we do like we did with Game of Thrones.
Just that. Yeah. That's fair. Cool. Any other news and nuggets?
Nope, that's it for me. I just thought that I wanted to highlight that because I'm going to watch it. It sounds like you're going to want to watch it.
I'm going to watch it for sure.
And it sounds like the type of thing that our audience might be interested in too if they haven't seen anything about it. So
I would gather. All right, let us dive into our Flick of the Week. John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. Super assassin John Wick is on the run after killing a member of the International Assassins Guild, and with a $14 million price tag on his head, he is the target of hitmen and women everywhere. That's the IMDb synopsis, which we're getting back to reading. Just more of this, sure. Just keep doing it. It's like I don't understand why it's working, but it's working. I gave my tweet length review. Do you have yours? Are you going to come up with it on the fly?
Yeah, go.
I'll give you mine. Mine is a genre unto its own. This combination of intense action, rules, consequences, world building, and camp continues to be even greater than the sum of its incredible parts.
Okay, that is probably too long for a tweet, though. I'm going to guess.
No, it fits.
Oh, did you put it into a tweet to see if it would fit?
A character count.
Nice. What I would say a little bit more colloquially than that is, continues to raise the bar visually and thematically in a lot of ways, with even more and more dramatic fight sequences, but somehow doesn't feel as natural as the first two due to the 3 distinct acts feeling like 3 separate parts of a movie, not 3 cohesive parts of one movie.
I will yield that. That's fair. One of the things that is interesting to me about this is the nature of the titling of these movies, the chapters. Specifically because you can't watch this without seeing the other two.
No.
I think that's a bold move.
Well, it's what we said in one of our first episodes. It was amongst the first 10 episodes we did was John Wick, the John Wick series as it stands, John Wick 1 and 2.
Right.
They are chapters of the same movie. The chapter nomenclature is correct. And again,
it's incredible.
With this, they are an anthology of one whole story.
It is a unique and bold thing to do, though, today.
Yes.
And I appreciate that they don't. I think that's one of the things that's amazing. They're laser focused on what they are doing, and like they've created this form and they're true to it. Right? They're not making compromises. It doesn't seem like they're not trying to give you any more to pull in more audience members. They're like, we know who's going to watch this. This is for you. And frankly, us. Like whoever made, like the people that made this movie, they wanted to see this movie. Like there's no other way around it.
Well, the funny thing is in exactly the opposite way from what I was just talking about earlier with Terminator 3.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, you said you'd have to see the first 2. I actually don't think you do. I think you probably could sit down and enjoy this movie enough because they give you enough of what's going on without it ever feeling pedantic.
That's fair.
And honestly, the plot, more than anything, of go here, shoot that, is pretty basic. And it fits. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually not a knock on the movie at all. They stripped it down and said, what is the most essential thing that we need to say or do for the next 15 minutes of movie? And then they do that thing. And then they take the next 15 minutes and they do that thing. And that part of it all feels mostly organic, actually, kind of with the exception of this one. Any of these movies you could really just jump into, and you'll be a little confused, but it would be no different than the way that life used to work, where you would jump into like an episode of TV, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but that person's married to that person, and this person doesn't like that person, and okay, that was a funny joke, or that was a cool thing, and like let's just go with it, man. Like it's all internally consistent.
I think if you dive in at 2 or 3 without having seen 1 or 2, depending on which one of those routes you chose, I think if you do that though, you will. It'll be entertaining enough. You'll think it's good, but it won't be the incredible thing that it is.
You won't have the connection to it.
Right.
But I think you could watch it without being totally lost. And I think you can get enough of it because so much of it is just meant to be visually stunning that you could just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd be sold on the series from... you might be. They do a good job, but I don't know. It's... And I guess that stuff is so subtle that it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like pandering, like you said. Like it's just they do weave it in really well. But if you're in this series and you are watching, it's like it is really like it's made for you. This is fan service at its best. This is a good thing. The way
which is funny because basically the whole series is just fan service.
Yes.
It's just that it had to create its own fans first. You know what I mean? Like another thing, like you have a fan, and it's like, okay, like further we go down, we have to pay off the fans that have stuck around.
Right.
This created its own demand for the supply to then fill.
So cool, absolutely. It's crazy. Yes, and with that, I'm sold. Right? You keep doing these, I'm going to keep going, and yes, I'm going to keep buying them and loving them, even if they have half the heart that you've been putting into these. I'm sure they'll be great.
You know what though? It was missing a little bit of heart. One specific could have been a moment in time's bit of heart.
What's that?
Tom Sadowski wasn't in this movie.
You're doing names again. You know how I am with names.
Don Kiefer.
Great, another name.
You know who Don Kiefer is from the fucking Newsroom.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
How is he not in this movie?
I love Don.
It's your favorite guy with your favorite line from that entire show.
Oh, God, that show is so good.
It is.
No, we're not going down the Newsroom rabbit hole.
I know, we always do it every time. But how did they not have him in it? He was in the first two. It was one of the great bits of connective tissue.
I actually forgot. Yeah, he was pretty... Well, I guess it's because on the run, he was not by home, and he was a local cop. Just like a cut to some sort of news story, and he's like, shit.
It could have been that. It could have been one of the many, many dead bodies that a TV person could have been interviewing a cop. That cop is him.
What if at some point in the movie he comes across him and he's threatening him and he's like, you too?
Listen, there doesn't have to be a cheesy way. The fact that he's not in the movie is a big miss.
That's fair. That's fair. What's crazy though is, so we're on the third movie. Before I saw it, I saw the post that there was going to be a fourth one. There will be more.
I didn't realize that until the end of the movie. I was like, oh, but although I did realize that when it was first announced, they said this will be the final one. I guess we should spoilers, guys. At the end of the movie, or they had walked that back silently, or just stopped promoting the fact that was where they had originally gone with it. Because by the end of the movie, it's like, oh no, they're gonna do another one.
I bet you they wrote out a decent amount of it, and they were like, we want to do more, and just change that up. But what's interesting, like we're approaching we're getting into fourth movie and just continue story, right? Like it again, just like the second one, it just starts right after the last one, like, which is incredible. We're approaching an entire season of an incredible TV show.
I will say though, the way that the ending of that one was teased, we may get our first pause. This seemed like it would set up, and so maybe are they going to do that sort of thing where it's like we have a trilogy unto itself, and then maybe we'll do another trilogy. They
may have to. We'll get into that in the spoiler territory. But yeah, they may have to pause. Speaking of spoiler territory, do you have anything else before we get into spoilers?
Nope, I'm good. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we are in spoiler territory here, folks. That means we are going to go all in on this movie because there's a lot to discuss here. Mostly around characters, because this movie is built on incredible characters.
Yeah.
Now, I have
I guess more so than the first two, right?
More so than the first two. There is a miss in this list, and we will get there. And it's unfortunate, in my opinion. But we're going to start off with Keanu Reeves. It's silly to say this, but I feel like he is this movie. I don't know what he is doing or how he is doing it, but I could not imagine another person playing John Wick.
Well, for such a minimalist performance, in the sense that he has so very few lines,
yes,
it's incredible that the whole movie is on his shoulders. All 3 movies are on his shoulders, and he carries them ably the whole time.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I love that he's become the legend of his character.
Yeah,
what I love about this movie and all of them, everybody knows who John Wick is, right? I do love the callbacks to Baba Yaga. Like, I think
probably too many people know who he is,
but in so many good ways. It gets a little. There's a little bit of extra comedy and extra camp involved in this one, but it is a lot of fun, and. Yeah. It is crazy. Like, up until I saw the first John Wick movie, or maybe the second one, let's say, it was always in my head. I attached him to Neo. I always thought Neo.
Well, it's funny. Most of my life, he was always what's his name from Speed.
Cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But
yeah, because I didn't get to the Matrix movies until I was a little older.
That's fair.
But now, yeah, well, mostly just because I've seen the Matrix movies a bunch of times, and I've seen all 3 of them. There's just so much more of that role. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I agree. But, like, it's basically 50-50. One because of, like, longevity, and one because of, like, total volume.
It's rare to create or have that many defining characters, right? Yes, you'll recognize him as the guy from Speed because that kind of movie was special when it came out. You recognize him as Neo because, I mean, holy shit, it's The Matrix. You recognize him from Bill and Ted. Like, he's completely become these characters.
Plus, there's a million people who are probably screaming at us right now saying, well, I hope a million people are listening. I'm sure they aren't. But there's a bunch of people who probably would be screaming, well, no, he's from Point Break. Like, he's
right.
He's Johnny Utah. Like,
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, like, the thing, like, he fully becomes the character. Like, so the point where you remember his character names almost before you remember him. Which is really, like, good on him. Because he gets made fun of. People, they jab at him.
Well, but
he's been laughed at. But he is very good.
He's fully crested the mountain where, instead of people, like, laughing at it, the whole, like, comedy of that situation has become a part of the larger image. Like, it's now, like, there's no longer people laughing at him, it's laughing with him. Like, he's transcended it and become larger than life. Like, people want him to be that now.
Right. It's crazy. And I mean, just more power to him. He absolutely commands the role. I love it. Absolutely love it. Also, I know that he does a lot of gun training and stuff like that. It shows, and it is incredible how fluid those action sequences are with him.
Yes.
It's absolutely unreal.
And also, to give a credit to, considering he has so few lines, his physical acting, he looks like he's been beaten up for the past 3 weeks, which is what has happened in the canon of these movies, right? It's a couple of really bad weeks.
It's really funny.
Like, he is not running cleanly the way he was in the first movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is kind of meta because he's what, 6 years older, you know what I mean? And he's had a lot of physical roles over the year. He probably is a little bit beaten up.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, he's pulling that off is incredible. And yes, like, he is tired, right? He's supposed to be, like you said. But there's one really silly thing to me. It's almost in the vein of an Endgame joke with Captain America. No big spoilers here, but the Captain America. If you've seen Endgame, if you haven't, it's not going to spoil it. If you've seen Endgame, the joke is, "I could do this all day." Yeah, I know. And that joke, I feel like they had their version of that with "It's just a dog," and he goes, "I get it."
Yeah. Well, because we've heard it a few times going back to the first 15 minutes of the first movie, right? Like,
yep. It's great. Moving on from Keanu, the possibly best, my favorite character, Winston.
Oh, a lot of people love him. Ian McShane, even though he's in so little, like, doses most of the time, like, He just owns whatever you ask him to do.
He commands the screen.
Yeah.
Like, he's so captivating. And I just don't... If you put anybody next to him and he's just going to eat up everything.
It's just this weird, like, swagger.
Yeah, and like the piercing gaze too. Like, I don't understand.
Well, there's that too, which is just kind of like, you know, it's the blue eyes, it's the the piercing like gaze or whatever. Like he finds a way to look down at you, even though he's quite short.
Yeah,
right. Like it doesn't feel like he's part of it is that he stands with incredible posture,
great stature. Yep.
But you know, he's just got this like swagger that feels earned, even though I'm not entirely sure what it is that he's done to earn it. And he's, like, just very charismatic in a way that, like, you know, he's what anyone who's ever done the fake it to make it until you make it thing. Like, he is, like, the avatar of that. Right? Like, it's like, man, I wish I could be 1/10 as confident as he sounds.
Yes, I completely agree.
Forget about wish I could be. I wish I could just sound 1/10 as confident as he sounds at any point in my life.
Let's put this into perspective. We also, I'm going to jump ahead to the Bowery King. Lawrence Fishburne plays an over-the-top thespian, right? That's the character that he's playing. Yeah. And it's almost as if he's trying to be what Winston is.
Yes.
And that's what's so funny about it.
Which is funny because Lawrence Fishburne also oozes confidence in most of his roles.
Absolutely.
But yes, here it felt like he's putting on airs a lot. No, you know what it is? It is good acting. He's playing a guy who wishes to project a certain image of power, who realizes how tenuous that power is. Mm-hmm. Unlike Winston, who has real power and doesn't quite seem to realize how tenuous it might be.
Yeah.
And because like that whole line, you know, I am the king, you know, I am the king and the king is me, and when I go, there is no new king. Or I know I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but like that whole line defines the character.
Yeah. Oh, and then I mean, it's a line used again and again in movies and TV shows over and over. The king is dead, long live the king. But his delivery of it is fantastic. Like
that too. Well, the thing is that it also reminded me. He also, even though he didn't say it, it felt kind of like a nod to Omar from The Wire. You know, come at the king, you best not miss.
Yeah.
And the adjudicator didn't miss. Not one of those 7 times.
True.
7 cuts, motherfucker.
In that scene, I was like, "Oh, is he dead?"
I was confused by that too. And actually, that is one of the few real problems I had with the actual structure of the movie. We can come back to characters in a minute, but that's
long cuts.
Yeah. No. Well, the thing is, I was a little confused. It seemed like the movie itself was a little confused with what it was doing, right? Because we were introduced first to Winston in the first movie, then we were added the Bowery King in the second movie. We now have a third power player, right, in Angelica Houston's character.
The director.
What was that?
The director.
Oh, is that the name of her role? I honestly didn't even know. There you go. The director. We are now introduced to a third power player in New York City, and each of them have crossed the high table, and each of them has to answer, and that's what the adjudicator is there to do, is to get the answer as to why it is that you're going against the high table, knowing what it is that you're courting. You're courting certain doom for yourself. And the adjudicator says to each of them, you know, you serve under the table. And I did like kind of that became its own kind of meta thing, right? Yep. Under the table.
Yep.
And they say each of them you have, well, for the first two, the Bowery King and for Winston, you have 7 days to set your affairs in order, and then you'll be replaced. And then they come to the director, and the whole thing is squeezed into one conversation. You owe fealty. I'll offer fealty. Stab you in both your hands.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay, your price has been paid in blood, literally, and you've been properly chastised, and we'll go on with business. But the other two are being told they're going to be replaced in 7 days. But then we're going to come back, and I'm going to extract my price from the Bowery King, and it seems like we've killed you, but no, we haven't. And then it's, the 7 days aren't up, but we're going to put a hit out on Winston. Yeah,
well, okay, so let's take these a piece at a time. the Bowery King, I believe the reason they slice him up is because he did not vacate.
Sure, but the point was they never acknowledged the fact that 7 days had passed.
Okay, that's fair, and I don't know that 7 days have passed.
They didn't. That's why I was saying I was confused, and it seemed like it internally was confused with itself.
And here's what I will point to is there was this interesting thing going on in the movie where it seems like do they call themselves the High Table? What
yes.
Is it? The adjudicator shows fear, occasional fear, and it seems like they're afraid of John Wick. It seems like they think that they might lose control, and they are acting a little bit more sporadically than they should, because the whole movie is about actions and consequences, right?
Yes,
constantly brought
they
up.
Literally say in the movie, yes,
at least 700 times.
Yes, a little bit too on the nose.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of a handshaking in occasional scenes, and it makes me wonder that like where this is going. I believe that what it's going to is like eventually they're gonna be operating on fear, and they're gonna fall apart because of John Wick.
I suppose so, but the thing is, at that moment in time, they know that John Wick has escaped.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've gone to the director. They know the director gave him passage.
Right.
So that's the time where you can breathe a sigh of relief and set your affairs in order, as they came to do.
Well,
like, that's the moment that should be of least panic. They know where they've gone, because word filters, right?
Sure, but they also have
he's
to
on the other
clean
side
up.
of the world.
They do have to clean up a little bit of the mess and make an example of people. Like, I feel like that's it.
Sure, but the whole point was the making an example of was at 7 days you step down, and whatever quote unquote step down is it a euphemism for you're going to be literally put up to pasture? You know what I mean?
Right, but that's why I think that they are shaking in their boots a little bit, because of the fact that they end up killing a whole bunch of the Bowery folks and going a little bit too heavy on certain aspects. It makes me think that they're freaking out.
Yeah,
they know.
It did seem like they came in a little too strong,
and I think that's intentional. I do think that will come to a head in the fourth film.
Probably. There certainly needs to be a reckoning. The adjudicator leaves. The head table is left not quite satisfied, although I guess that's the whole point of a good compromise, right? Is that no one walks away happy. Winston's back in power for now. Mm-hmm. John is alive for now. The High Table, by the very strictest definition of the letter of the law, has been satisfied, but in spirit it has not.
Right. Let's circle back to there are some more plot points that I want to hit, but let's circle back to characters, and as they come up naturally, let's continue to deep dive into them, because I like this.
Okay.
So going back, we finished up with Winston. Now,
and the Bowery King, I guess.
I guess we finished him up too. Lance Reddick plays, is it Sharon?
Well, he called him Sharon. He called him Sharon, but the old Greek, I believe it's pronounced Karen. It's the same name as the name of the moon of Pluto. Like, it's
okay.
Or is Roman? Maybe it was ancient Roman. I forget.
I love that the other characters just respect him.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like he clearly answers to management, but has management's ear.
Yep.
But he is
the right hand.
A maitre d'. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's typically a guy that you demand respect from. That does not command respect of his own accord, right?
Right.
Like, think about it, like, I want to talk to a manager, right? You get up in that guy's face and you scream and bitch and moan and whine, right? But no one does that shit to him.
No, absolutely not. And he's just so friggin' suave. Like, I feel like he's another character that when on screen, and this is what's amazing about him, he says maybe 3 words. Like, he can command the screen without words.
Yes. And really he only breaks that facade one time. And it's when they come back for bigger guns. Yeah,
so good.
Just the sigh of...
So good.
Yeah. And John goes, armor upgrades? And he just sighs and goes, armor-piercing bullets, 12-gauge shotgun.
that was incredible. Yeah, and I feel like it's almost like that's a good holding the cards a little close to the chest, right? And they were like, we're gonna play this hand just when it's right, and they went 2 3/4 movies deep before they let him break just a little bit. And, man, did it land. That was a great...
Well, he's another one who is... He's like... They're not asking enough of him. Lance Reddick's a freaking great actor. And they just don't give him much to do. But he owns every second of what they let him do. Like, he is great on The Wire. And he's in it the whole run of the show. Really, really good actor. He's in... I know I've mentioned it to you before. I think I mentioned on the show. Corporate, the show on Comedy Central. He plays... he played Hampton. I can't remember, or is it? Actually, I forgot. Was it DeVille? Hampton DeVille is the name of the company, and he plays the CEO at the company, and he is just so evil. The character is just so evil. Christian DeVille. That's what it was.
That's great.
But he is so funny because he is the most concentrated, distilled version of the evil CEO of the soulless corporation that you can imagine. Like the things that he did, they were coming up with ways to spice up disaster coverage of their news branch. It's like, ooh, could we get a body counter on the thing? You know, like like on this in the bottom corner of the screen, and there's gonna be a little ding every time the body count.
Oh my god!
and he's getting like excited, and literally like him and the news director end up like having sex right after because the two of them are getting so turned on by how evil and nefarious and gaudy this like production is. Like, he's so good.
That's great. That's really funny. He really is. He's fantastic. Moving on from him, and this is one that I felt was a little bit of a miss. Sophia. And I'm curious how you felt about it, because and it's not a knock on Halle Berry. It's not a knock on her acting before. I think her acting chops may have hindered her in the role.
Well, the funny thing is she's kind of existed in this space between like high-level B-list work and low-level A-list work. Where like she's a little too good for the B-list stuff, but maybe can't quite always live up to the A-list stuff.
What I'm curious about, it almost, and this is the only way, I was trying to put my finger on what it was that was bothering me about it. Like, what was not, it was, like, her scenes were not connecting the way that the rest of the movie connects. And I was trying to understand what it was, and it almost felt like it's one of two things. Either she didn't watch the first two, and I don't, either that is the case, or she wasn't leaning into the camp and figuring out, like, how her character, like, every character is unique. Her character was generic, and it just didn't come to, like, it didn't fit with the rest of, like, this anybody that has, like, main screen time has some big draw to them. The draw should have been, like, this connection with the dogs. It was almost there. It just
that was the only time that you know what it was. You're kind of there with the did she not see the other movies? Everyone else who had prominent screen time was having fun.
Yes.
With the role they were playing. Like, because everyone was in on the joke, and it felt like she wasn't in on the joke.
Yes. Absolutely.
Every single person, even the new arrivals, even, what's his name? Even Jerome Braun, as Barada, even Angelica Houston, Asia Kate Dillon as the adjudicator, all of them felt like they were in on the joke alongside the people who've been on the series the whole time. She didn't feel like she was part of the joke.
Yes, completely agree. And it
what's
was kind of...
What's his name, too? Mark Dacascos, the Zero,
oh my god.
The Japanese assassin guy.
Leaned into it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone felt like they were in on the joke except for her.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that happens. And I think that it's got to probably fall in direction, right? If everyone else is getting it.
Maybe.
I wonder, some of those scenes felt inconsistent. I wonder if they reshot some of it.
It does seem like it might have been it's the only chunk of it's a chunk of the movie where the pacing is confusing, and it does this particular chunk is what breaks the other two apart, which leads to the confusing factor that you brought up earlier on.
Yeah,
like that's the reason that doesn't flow, and it feels like 3 is the chunk written around her character didn't fully make sense in the context of everything else.
No, it was a really weird. It stuck out a lot in the same way that the, like, Sojourn to whatever that casino planet was. I can't think of in The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that this was asked to lift a greater weight in the movie because it's a whole act, whereas that was just part of the middle act. And it was 50% of the middle act. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 75, 80% of it. You know what I mean?
That being said, like there were some very cool things going on in that sequence. I feel like she did lean into the action.
Yes. Oh no, she acquitted herself very well in the action scenes.
Yeah, and the continuous shot with the dogs was amazing.
Well, that's something. Look, let's talk about the action for a little bit while we're here, then, because I had a bunch of notes about that because it is what these movies are about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was really good. They found a way to raise the stakes every movie, from 1 to 2, 2 to 3.
Yeah. Okay, but just because I mentioned the dogs, I just want to point out one thing real quick. In the movie theater, lots of people actually. I was surprised at how full it was. Crazy things happen, like full-on close-up knife in the eye, like killing a person with a book, pulling a toenail off, like really horrible, disgusting things. Hundreds of people have died at this point in the movie. The dog gets shot, and everybody in the movie theater went, "Oh," and I thought that was adorable.
Well, because I mean, when you consider where this series of movies started, right? Like,
yeah. But when that happened, it should have been, "Oh shit," because you know that you kill a dog, and it's over.
And this is the type of movie too that it shows you why the cinema still needs to exist, because this was a good movie, like shared communally.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, there were some things where oh shit moments where you hear the gasps throughout the theater or the oh shit
when the knife goes into the guy's eye, I went no.
Yeah,
like out loud.
I shrunk as small as I could into my seat, like cringing. But so that was what I want to talk about. Is this continues to raise the stakes, and the way they do it is they keep giving you more of what worked, but they keep giving you something new. And there's a few of those things that they gave you that were new, which was the reason to keep coming back. Because honestly, some of the scenes did get gratuitous in like the length of the action scene, right?
Sure. But
you can justify it if you start giving us very distinctly new things. The dogs, that whole sequence, they did some cool things with the dogs that they've never done before.
Yes, the continuous shot was the key there.
The continuous shot, the way they kept flipping the camera around to follow something new, and then the dog cuts across the green. To as it tackles.
Yes. It was awesome.
That made for a really cool effect, and culminating with the final thing with the dogs where she's standing there and she has the dog jump onto her back and leap up straight.
Cool. That was so cool.
Tackle that dude was badass. Yeah. The knife throwing fight early in the movie.
Before you get off of the dogs for a second, while they were incredible and the fight sequence was amazing, potentially the best sequence with the dog is as it's pulling on the guy's arm and doesn't stop as the scene continues.
Oh, yeah, multiple times. Yeah, a couple times where I was like, okay, you can move on to the next guy. That guy is very...
And it's just going...
Yeah.
Sounds like in Mallrats. What kind of noises would you make? That's personal. I don't want to answer that.
And also, speaking of things I don't want to talk about, what the dogs did to Braun.
I have him listed here as, what did I have? Jeremy Flynn played the character Barada, and then I have, in quotes, Fancy Braun.
Fancy Braun? It was weird seeing him with blonde hair again. I haven't seen that since his pop star days in the 90s.
Oh my god.
You've seen that, right?
Yes.
So weird. I can't reconcile it. But yeah, moving on. The knife fight in the beginning when he's running through the antique China store with all the old weapons. Also, I love how much time it took him to rebuild a revolver, to then fire the revolver one time and then throw it.
Yep. Better yet, a thing that is not done nearly often enough is in the knife throwing sequences. How many knives didn't land? They just bounced off people's heads because it would
bounced off people's heads, off the arms, off of glass cases.
It was great.
But I've never seen action movies love to make a big deal about doing the knife throwing things, and they're largely unrealistic, which is why seeing it bounce off of it was cool, because that is much more realistic.
Followed up by an axe that is perfectly placed.
Yes, and I have gone axe throwing before, and he used perfect form, I can tell you.
I have too, and I'm weirdly good at it.
I was surprised how good I was at it too. It's a lot of fun.
My first one, it was a bullseye, and I was like, all right.
Walk off, one and done. But no, that was cool as shit. I've never seen knife throwing like that done before on screen. Like just the amount of them, the accuracy and inaccuracy at times, like kind of added a little bit of the gritty realism to it. But just they did so many cool things. Who throws a knife into who and then yanks the knife back out and throws it back, like, you know.
Yep. What about the book?
Yeah, the book. Oh, by the way, we didn't even talk about that. The first guy who breaks the rules.
Yeah.
Who'll know?
What's his name? I don't know. His name. I have his name here. It was. Where are you? Ernest.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that he's Ernest. He's Boban. Boban Marjanovic. He is an NBA player.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I did.
So the funny thing is, I can't remember if I told this to you the last time we were recording, or it was the time before that. But I heard an interview with him before I saw the movie, and it was I think it was technically even before the movie aired. I had no idea he was in the movie, but the show I was listening to, it was on the Dan Le Batard show. They tracked him down and they found out he was in the movie, and they talked to him about it, and he was talking about how excited he was to be asked to do it because he loved the first two movies, and he said they were looking for someone who was just going to be huge. He's over 7 foot tall, and they called his agent and he asked him. He's like, "Of course I want to be in this. I love those movies."
That's awesome.
And I thought that was really cool. Like, you get to be a big
so
fan
good.
of it, and then come in it and like get such a unique death, a unique fight sequence. And also, I think it was kind of fun parallel watching how small Keanu Reeves looked fighting him, and how he had to kind of like slow down at times to let Keanu like do the things and like kind of hunch down a bit in the fight to like level the playing field.
Yeah,
it was the same thing that he had to do later in the fight scene at the end when he's back in New York in the Continental and he's fighting the two henchmen of Zero.
Oh my god, yes.
And he's hunching down
so
to
good.
make the fight look convincing. And it just made me think, oh my god, now I want to see these two little guys fighting Boban.
That'd be amazing. He just kicks one of them and they go flying.
And like it would just be like a normal kick and it's gonna be right to the guy's head. Like,
before I saw the movie, I had there was like a little infographic and it was the number of kills and with what. And it was just like, you know, a ridiculously high number and it showed a bullet. And then it was like 1 and it showed a book. And I was like, well, this will be fun. And then it said 3 and it showed a horse. And I was like, I can't wait to see how this plays out. And then when we enter the carriage house, I'm like, okay, I guess this is where the horses are going to come in. Never did I imagine that he was going to actually use the horse as a weapon. Line the guy up and slap the horse's ass.
Yeah, three times. Well, actually, I guess technically the third guy he actually did
he dragged off,
like dragged him like in like old westerns. Like,
yeah, that was intense.
But yes,
that was the first one that happens. I go, oh my god.
I had heard that he did that, and I was like, no fucking way! I got to see this. I saw it. Then he does it again. They doubled down on it.
They wanted to make sure if you missed it the first time, yes.
The audacity.
He used a horse as a weapon.
It's incredible. Yeah, so another thing, death by horse.
That bridge scene, though.
Now, I actually had a question about that, and I didn't get the chance to look back up the trailer. In the trailer, wasn't he on the horse during that sequence? Or was he on the motorcycle the whole time?
Yeah, on the motorcycle.
Oh, because I got disappointed when he got off the horse. I was like, wait, no, I thought the chase scene happens with him on the horse. I guess I misremembered that.
They did something with the horse, like, as he left. But no, the bridge scene was on the motorcycle.
Yeah, well, I know it wasn't in the movie, but I don't know why I thought in the trailer he was still on the horse.
I think the cutting. The way they cut it, I think it went back and forth a little bit too fast. But closing, when you see the sign that the bridge is closed, you know, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's do Keanu Reeves on a highway type situation again. Let's do that.
Well, and they did. They like that's like a classic trope, but they refreshed it a little bit for this. Yeah. But then the final thing of, show me something new for this series was the final battle with the armor, where he has to figure out, okay, I'm basically fighting them with paintball guns.
Right.
I just have to create discomfort and distract them until I can shoot them in the back of the neck or get close enough to lift their visor and shoot them in the face through the visor.
Right. Basically, they were like, let's do the lobby scene from The Matrix, but at level 100.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it was like playing
the
a
bad
game
guys
where
are
you
all
turn the...
geared up.
Yeah, you turn the difficulty up, and everyone has shields, and you have to shoot them 100 times, and they only have to shoot you once and you die.
Yeah, exactly. I also like that the color palette wise, it also resembled The Matrix in those scenes. I thought that was really cool.
Although darker.
Dark. Oh yeah, but still the green's very prominent.
Yes.
What my favorite thing though, which I believe is also an homage to The Matrix, the only way for them to pull off bullet time in this movie is to do it underwater, and I thought that was amazing.
Yes, yeah, that was
I believe that was intentional. I could be wrong, but I'm going to continue to believe that was the intent.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't they do a nod to it? Because they did the exact same thing when him and Winston have joined back forces again, and he says, "What do you need?" And he goes, "Guns, lots of guns."
So good. When they played doing that in the trailer was a really great. That was a great move.
Yes,
I appreciated that. Oh my god. Okay. Well, on the topic of action sequences, the fight in the glass room, it goes on a little too long, which is fine.
Yes.
It goes on a little too long, but it was so the mixing in the comedy with it, and again, they lean into the decisions they make. They double down on the decisions they make, which, when he fights Zero and Kanji Club, it's like that was really cool. Like first he's fighting the two guys. When they're fighting and they let him up a couple times, right? Because they've got the better of him because he's exhausted still.
Right off the beginning, they could have literally ended him right then and there, and they're like, no, let's try this again.
Well, this is going to be important, and here's why. So he amazing. Then he pulls off his belt. He's like, okay, I'm going to use this. I'm like, this is just going to get better. And then they fight, and they fight, and they fight. Then he finally knocks them down and doesn't kill them. And this is the start of the army that he's going to build in the fourth movie. I'm putting my money on it.
Well, true. And, if you think about the way that, old, medieval times type, questing, and you see it sometimes in video, right? He killed their leader, so now they have to follow him.
Yeah.
They have to pledge their lives to him.
Mm-hmm. The leader was Zero being so amazed at being in the same room as him it just didn't get old. It was so
after
funny.
He tried so hard to kill him and
Yep.
seemed so he showed a bit of respect, right?
Yeah.
When he's talking to the adjudicator and he's like, I've been looking forward to this, whatever, but it seems like it's a very malicious thing. And then for it to turn out, no, he's a huge fanboy.
Yep.
An actual, giddy fanboy. It's it's like us, meeting, our famous, or, our favorite, actor or, athlete or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And he was just so funny. And in the end, when he's got the sword through him and he's kneeling down, he goes, "That was a good fight, right?"
Yeah, it was a good fight.
All right, you go ahead. I'll catch up to you. No, you won't.
No.
And then he just dies. It was actually really sad.
It was a little sad, and it's great because it kind of does feel too like it's following on and continuing to raise up from what happened in the last one. Where he stabs Common and he says, "I'm doing you a favor," and then when he stabs what's her name, Ruby Rose, the same thing, just the importance of that drawn out of a fight where the people that he respected the most or who got the best fight out of him ended all the same way, right? They all end up getting stabbed in the chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know why it seems like that's a through line.
It's apparently just a thing.
Thematic thing. I guess it's probably the intimacy of it, right?
I guess so. It makes sense. They are close. There's
cutting them through the heart, that there probably is something there that I can't quite define.
Yeah, I think you are right in that it is the intimacy thing. What movie was it where I forget what movie it was, but they talk about the knife being more intimate, and I think it's more in a comedy setting. But it's you are right. Man, that's Zero. What a that was just such a silly.
By the way, do you know who that guy is?
He looked familiar. I know. I looked up his name. I didn't look up what else he's in though.
See, I looked him up because I thought he was from Kill Bill. Actually, I told you that. I thought he was from Kill Bill.
Yes.
And I was wrong. And when I was looking at that, I scrolled right over, didn't even process it in my mind for whatever reason. And so, friend of the podcast, Caleb, who hopefully will be listening to this episode because me and him were talking about this tonight, mentioned to me, he is was it the chairman or whatever, I forget what his title is, in Iron Chef America. All the variations of Iron Chef America. He's the guy who, like, unveils, like, the competition or whatever.
That's really funny. Oh my god, that's hysterical.
I had no idea.
That's great. That's great.
It's funny because we had the conversation, and he's like, "He's a guy from Iron Chef," and I immediately thought of the actual original Japanese Iron Chef, and I was like, "No, he's not." That guy had way more hair. Also, he did the Michael Jackson white glove thing. Although I think he had 2 white gloves, not just one. But yeah, no, he did it was a whole weird thing. I used to watch the old Iron Chef at 2 a.m. when I was in high school. It was
excellent.
There's a whole story. It's not a good story, but there's a whole story.
It's a time in my life.
It was very much a time of my life.
It was 7 days in hell. So, I'm going to flip back to characters for a minute. Angelica Houston's character, the director, now she wasn't in the previous one, was she?
No.
Okay, so this was her debut, and what I thought was interesting about it was they do some more world building. We get the whole idea of the ticket and punching the ticket, the safe passage, and that we find it's this cross. I liked that her sentence wasn't as strong as like being taken out of power, because technically she followed the rules, and I like that they played to that.
Yeah, because he says, you're bound to do this, and she goes, and you think that means anything? You're excommunicado,
Yeah.
But some things are stronger than
right. That's so that I love that. I just love that they were like, hey, we have rules, and you have to figure them out as you watch these movies because they're very interesting.
Although I do say there is a bit of a missed opportunity for just utilitarian function by him at that point, because that was the scene right after he got the very poor stitch job.
Oh
which
my
can
God.
We just talk about the fact like that guy could have just killed him when the time ran out, right?
No, but this is the legend. This is the John Wick legend. It's,
not only does he choose not to kill him, he could have just let him walk away. No. You have to shoot me
twice. One's not going to be enough.
Yeah, one might not be enough.
Oh my god.
I love how he shoots him so conveniently in his own chair so he can then immediately start working on himself.
Yep.
But when she does the brand, I'm thinking, man, why would you not have her brand me on the spot of where I had really badly done stitches on this very deep wound that those stitches didn't actually stop? He has to be internally bleeding if it was
absolutely.
A bad stab. Like, I would have had her brand me there. Like, can we?
If not, then by the end.
What's that?
If not, then by the end.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. We could have solved it. We could have killed 2 birds. You could have branded me. You could have healed me up. Do a little extra favor. Maybe that would have gotten her kicked out, though. That might be too much. Speaking of those stitches opening up, at the end, when he takes his dive off of the building.
Which, how?
Okay. What I love about that scene... Now...
He fell off the fucking Flatiron building, guys.
I was talking to Chris about this, and he didn't see it this way. Winston tells him to go that way because of the things that will break his fall.
Yes. Although, it does feel like John doesn't actually realize that.
Oh, like, I think he does.
I think it's... He sold the look of surprise just a little too well. Where I think in retrospect, he realizes that's what happened. But in the moment, I don't think he actually does.
Yeah, but there's the trust between the 2 characters, so he went with it. He does take a leap of faith off the building.
Yes, but I don't know if he realizes in the moment that it's by design. I think when he plays it back in his head, he probably realizes it.
Yeah, sure. Maybe he doesn't. But it
in
was
the
by
moment,
design,
I think there's genuine fear. Like, wait, no. After all we just went through, after everyone we just shot up in your hotel, you were just excommunicated. You're going to turn on me that fucking quick.
Yeah. That's why it is intentional.
No, I agree. It definitely was. I just don't know if in the moment if he realizes.
Which makes it does make it more exciting. But yeah, I agree with you. He might not, but I think he does to some degree. He knows that he has to go that way because Winston gave him the clue, but he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. And
he doesn't know exactly how it's going to play out. But, man, we did not get enough of Manzukis.
No, I was expecting a little bit more. And that was originally, that first line of his was originally how I was going to do it until I realized it lined up perfectly with the Coheed and Cambria thing. And I snuck it in as we were segueing earlier. You heard me, right?
Yeah.
No time for dilly-dally, Mr. Wick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I love him. I adore Jason Mantzoukas. Him rolling him in the shopping cart was actually pretty great. At the end, that was cool. And then seeing all the cuts on Fishburne were pretty awesome.
Going back to that, when we alluded to it a little bit, but I was very confused. It looked like they killed him, and then he wasn't dead, which I'm fine with. But I was confused in the moment, right? Because they're like 7 cuts, and I was like, oh, they're just gonna get him worse than they got the director, right?
Right.
But then he just drops, and then they like pan out and walk away, and he's motionless. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense because they also just murdered his entire network, but also I guess didn't murder his entire network. Again, it's just a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
For me, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It was just a little weird.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was off. It almost seems like some of that stuff was at the time where they said this was the last one. And then they were like, we can stretch this a little bit more because there's more we want to do, and we could bring him back. He doesn't have to be gone.
It could be one of those. They shot some of it before they had fully 100% finalized it, and then in the moment they realized, okay, we can leave this in, and it's a little bit ambiguous, but it's not too big of a deal.
Right. Yeah, and it's very possible. It could be what happened there. Going back to the characters now, Asia K. Dillon playing the adjudicator. This character is new. This character is probably is it the first piece of like new world building that we get in the movie? I don't remember.
There's the whole thing with the director, and there was the whole thing with the man pulling the strings of the high table.
Right, the elder.
Yes,
but we got the adjudicator before that, didn't we? We got the adjudicator early.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you meant was it the only big part?
Oh no. Sorry, no. But it's the first. It's the first one that we get in the movie.
Yes, because they show up pretty early.
Yeah. It's interesting that character. They walk around with this the gloves out. I don't know what it was. It was haunting. Like this.
Never actually wearing the gloves.
No, never wears the gloves. Just holds them. It made me very uncomfortable, and I don't know why. Just like holding the gloves, and like the adjudicator is not afraid of anyone because they work for the table.
Yes, although it's funny because it feels like they were just living off of the name recognition, right? Where it's like, you know who I am, don't fuck with me. But that should have applied to Santino as well. And you see how that worked out for him?
Right. Well, and then there also comes the point where I said earlier that it seems like the table, to some degree, is shaking in their boots a little bit, and you only get that in little pieces from the adjudicator. But at the very end, when they realize John is not on the street, that's when the fear comes out, and that's what makes me say that this whole thing was fear built the whole time, and building up.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'll say is where in the moment where they should have felt some of that fear and didn't display it was in the first meeting with the Bowery King, when he says, "I don't answer to your authority. I didn't swear.
I am the League of Shadows."
Yeah, because that's before Zero's men kills all of the informants and whatever. So they're surrounded by them. They could have just overwhelmed them and killed them all there, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they should have tread a little bit more carefully there.
Probably.
And didn't, which was a little surprising to me.
Yeah. There's a little bit of cockiness in the character, and it's fun to see the character break by the end and see the fear.
Yeah, we're calling up Winston.
Yeah.
It was kind of great, too, that whole thing, sitting upstairs, drinking the tea, calling up, and he just hangs up on him.
Oh, my God, that was so good. That was so good. Winston in the safe and clicking the button to close the door. Like, I don't know why. Again, because the man just commands the room.
Yeah.
It's such a great scene.
And also good for Sharon. I'm still not sure where we settled on that.
Yeah.
Good for him. You know, not ever really doing anything. His whole little strike force gets shot up immediately, and he sticks it out his whole way. He gets shit done.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes out there. He shoots him up a little bit. He's no John Wick, but he carries his own weight.
Absolutely. But I would say the Adjudicator is the most new character that fits immediately in, and like counter to Sophia, like the character didn't fit exactly right.
That's what I was saying. I agree. It's so weird, like because both of them gifted with a fair amount of screen time.
Yeah.
One of them feels very much like they are in on the joke, and one of them very much did not.
Yeah.
Because Dylan did they're a good actor. Like they in Billions, Taylor Mason, good character, good job. Just like intimidating in the same way with that air of superiority, and so very rarely lets it slip.
Yeah,
because they're kind of always in their element.
Yeah, same in Orange Is the New Black. It's a character that I don't love, but played very well, and it's intentional. You're not supposed to like the character.
Yeah.
Fun little random character, Robin Lord Taylor, the administrator. When the Adjudicator calls and pronounces the hotel as deconsecrated, which was another world building piece that was added. That's a thing that can happen, and seeing everybody trying to check out really fast was hysterical. But that actor plays Penguin.
I thought he looked familiar, and I couldn't tell, and I didn't get a chance to look him up.
Yeah, plays Penguin in Gotham. The only character that we haven't touched on that I have on my list is the Elder.
Oh, he was in The Walking Dead too.
Yeah, that's right. He was in with the people that eat people. Right? I think he was in that whole thing.
Yes.
I think he's the one that gets bled out in the tub. Spoilers.
Spoilers for several seasons ago of a bad show.
Oh.
Also, I did think it was a little odd that I think he's the only guy amongst all of those administrators. Everyone else is a woman in those.
Oh.
In that office.
Yeah.
Also, I love that they kind of recreated the aesthetic of early seasons of Archer.
Yeah.
Where it's incredibly high tech, but all of it is old technology.
Yep.
With the old ass black with green like command line prompts on the
things
computer,
are on tape.
Yeah, stuff on tape. It's literally that anachronistic aesthetic from the first few seasons of Archer, where they have GPS and all this cool stuff, but all the computers and everything is 1980s era.
Yeah, it just shows the age of this whole world that they built.
It's just so weird that they have those two things where it's they have to put it up on a chalkboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, they shoot out and you watch it spit out line by line on the computers, auto calls, a bunch of smartphones to put out this contract information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, I think it's kind of funny that every woman working in there, whether they be 20 years old or 80 years old, all of them have tattoos.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah. So it's the only other character on my list here is the Elder. Correct my pronunciation. Is it Saeed Tagmawi?
Sure.
That character was interesting.
He was in Wonder Woman, right?
Was he?
He wasn't.
I don't remember.
One of the guys in the crew.
Maybe
the sniper. No, not the sniper. Was that Ewan Bremmer? I think the other guy.
He was
Samir. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That character was interesting. How did you feel about this one person sitting above the table? It seemed cool, a little bit, like they were building up a little bit more, but there was something about that whole thing in the desert and the one guy that is somehow in charge that didn't fully connect the way that the other rules work.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I liked the idea of this shadowy man behind the shadowy table. But I feel like they either needed to do a lot more or a lot less with him.
That's fair.
I feel like we needed to get more time to kind of get the gist of it, because it's kind of weird. Like, he's just in the middle of it, and there's people there, and it's like...
They should have camera behind him, not shown him.
Maybe.
That's one way.
That's one way. Well, no, I actually feel like either you should have got to spend a little bit more time with him to get a better picture of how it works.
Yeah.
Or you never actually see him at all.
Right, and you just know of this other presence.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Mysterious. I either needed much more detail or much less, because I think if they could have done it even in like the think V for Vendetta, when he's interrogating her, interrogating her. If you got one of those things where it's like, but only a couple of lines and you never see him, and it's like, or like if you see him like as he's like fading in and out of consciousness, like him being like, and you see people like come around, like, you know, you hear a voice like, bring him before me or whatever, and and you know, and you never actually see him, and then he wakes up and like there's a set of instructions there or something like that.
Yeah,
but you never have a conversation.
You are right. It's they either needed more or less. It was a little strange. It was one of the only things that I was just like, it was also in that weird pacing portion of the movie where it was just like, there's something's just not quite right here. But we immediately get back into it.
Yeah, it was just kind of random. Like, this just guy hiding in the middle of the desert is the most powerful and in charge of everyone. Like, why does everyone answer to this random guy who's only got like 4 people working for him? Like, you know what I mean?
How do I find him? Look to the stars and keep walking, and when you're about to die, walk a little bit more. What?
I was actually okay with that part. I was
that's one. It was still a mystery.
Yes.
I was like, okay, and then you see him walking in the desert. It's like, oh, we're doing this.
Well, the funny thing is it was like, it sounded like a rhetorical, philosophical thing.
Yeah.
But then then it got very specific. It was like, follow the North Star and walk to like the 35th latitude. And
right.
It's like, you want me to pretend, like, we're having this, the conversation started with that this guy is a hypothetical, that we're kind of having this philosophical, like, stand-in, like, allegorical stand-in for God, right? Like, does he really exist? Is there a man pulling all the strings to, oh yeah, just walk out to the desert, like, east for like 12 hours and like you'll be pretty close. They'll figure out. They'll find you. They'll come grab you. So like anyone couldn't find you.
Oh man, that was a little weird. And then cutting his finger off like a ball. So I guess he had 2 options. He could either cut his finger off or break his hand. Is that what we decided?
I was a little unsure of that as well, because I saw the 2 things, and the chisel, I guess, that he ended up using. I didn't realize that's what it was at first. Like, the other thing is like, okay, that's some sort of bludgeoning weapon, I think, or is that a cup on top of it?
I thought it was the hammer for the chisel, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to work.
He needs another hand for that.
Right, that's why I was confused.
Or maybe take a toe.
And he was like, I don't have time for this. And he just cut his finger off, and I went, oh no!
I guess there's something to that, right? Where it's the, just the, my path is so righteous that I can just slice my finger right off clean with one shot. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, it sounds like fingers aren't that hard to remove. So a lot of conversation around the time of The Walking Dead when the governor bit off Merle's finger. Yeah, the science behind that came out, and it was very disturbing. Apparently, it takes about the same amount of force it takes for you to bite through a carrot.
Right, that was the last episode of Mythbusters before it got canceled.
Was it really?
No, I'm kidding. But he cuts his finger off, he holds his finger up, and then he takes the ring off the long way, which made the scene so much worse. Like, it could have went the other way, and it would have just been over. But it just slowly gets removed. It was just uncomfortable.
How many times did they have to shoot that, where the first time you hit the ring, and it like... Fuck, that really hurt.
Yes. Oh my god. That was sorry. That's all I have for characters. Let me go. I have a list of world building here. Make sure we touched on all of these. We have Rules and Consequences was the name of the game. I actually thought that was pretty cool. The Adjudicator was the new character, one of the new characters, along with the director. Two big new characters that were brought in to show, I think, increase scale a little bit, and also show how these consequences get paid in full. The one who's
also
above the table.
Just a second while we're talking about actions and consequences and rules. I dug the whole amnesty thing where the guy killed his own guy in Casablanca.
Yeah, that was cool. Even that guy, that guy leaned into it more than he was more in it than Sophia.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that was a shame. No, that was pretty crazy. Okay, so rules and consequences, adjudicator, the one who sits above the table, the ticket, and punching the ticket for safe passage. That was interesting. Getting branded with it, I guess, to show that you've punched your ticket. They brought back the blood oath. Was it called the blood oath?
The marker.
The marker. They brought those back. That was cool.
They brought it back. It was funny. I was a little surprised that they brought it back with that, and then reinforced it when Barada talked about not only do we make the coins here, we make the markers as well.
That was cool. It was hard to track down the first one. That was pretty awesome.
That's again one of those kind of, it's like almost a throwaway line, but it's effective world building.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the deconsecration and the reconsecration of an establishment. That was another fun thing.
I mean, with how ridiculous the deconsecration is, I feel let down that we didn't get a undeconsecration.
Oh my god! Well, you know what was great about that is that was the first. What the other things that happened in the second movie with Winston being taken a step down, when those things were called in, there was no hesitation. It was business as usual. When deconsecration was called in, there was just a very minor hesitation. Like, oh, this doesn't happen. Shit's going down.
Like, oh, do we have to dust off that rule book? Like, do we even have a protocol for that?
Well, yeah. How do I do a deconsecration? So that was that was the last new piece that I have in here. I guess taking your finger and something about giving your ring to the elder. I don't know. Weird mallet branding, things like that.
Well, it wasn't about giving the ring. It was about like the price that you have to pay to be able to continue to remember your wife is that you have to give up your last tie to her.
Right. A couple of scenes I have written down here. I believe we went through most of them. Time running out. That was pretty intense. When the clock is about to strike and the doctor immediately stops, and then we get the fun scene. That was pretty cool. Jaws trying to kill him early.
Jaws.
The closed bridge was pretty great. The continuous shot. Reparations. The Bowery King getting his slices, and the director getting run through. How about this great scene? When he says Parabellum, and I went, you said it.
That was good.
That was pretty awesome. We got their lobby scene homage. Winston in the safe, just solid gold. The mirror room. Oh, and the roof dive. Yeah, that's pretty much. Those are all the scenes that I had ready to discuss. We did that pretty naturally throughout talking about the characters. What else? Do you have anything else?
The only other thing I think that if for whatever reason they couldn't make another one, that this still works very effectively as a finale, even having the slightest bit of cliffhanger at the end. But that if they want to continue on and do another one, it still sets itself up for something to continue on that won't be totally ridiculous. Yeah. Which is a nice balance.
I completely agree. It's they just did they deserve the props. Like, they did a really good job with this series so far, and I'm looking forward to more, or not. But
also don't forget, supposedly there's still that show.
Oh right.
The Continental.
And when that's going to... where in the timeline that is would be interesting.
It's weird that we haven't heard anything about that for a long time now.
Yeah. I wonder if that's still a thing.
It's probably still a thing.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's it then. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Flix in the Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to discuss or nuggets for us to talk about, you can send those requests to flixinthe6@spintune.com or tweet us at thespintune with the hashtag FLI6. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
And I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for coming out.